We are live. We're live. We're live.
Tell you, it's
Oh, yeah. I thought that it went, I got over. Okay.
We are set and ready to go at 6:15 for anyone who's watching on Facebook. 6:15 is our projected start time. We're just allowing people to show up and get started, sit down. John Thaxton is the moderator tonight. We've got all three candidates at the table ready to go. This is for District 2. It was a great event for Northport Forward last night. Heron Creek. And very special thanks out to the Heron Creek people for really having a good voice and putting their words together and kind of catching some attention out there. They've got some inside the facility issues, but also had some really good concerns over Northport, the growth and the upcoming future of Northport. So it was a very educational conversation that was had yesterday, and look forward to this Thursday having another great forum with Northport Forward out at the Legion in the States. Check out northportforward.com, get all the updates you can, and it looks like we're starting.
If everyone can find a seat, we're gonna get this show on the road. Boy, look at it, we'll quiet it down, I don't think you can quiet it. I think we're ready to show it. Good evening and welcome to the Team Northport Candidate Forum for the Northport City Commission race. My name is Pam Tofars. Team Northport Can is a group of Northport residents working on ways to keep their fellow neighbors engaged and informed of their city government. Who is Team Northport Can? It's everyone who wants to participate. You can choose how much time you want to dedicate or even just share information from our page to your neighbors. As a matter of fact, just by you guys showing up here tonight is going to help educate yourself and your neighbors when you tell them about your thoughts on the commission race. So see, it's really easy. The information we share will be provided directly from the city's website and public meetings. This information will be shared on a non-biased basis for residents to form their own opinions and make decisions based on that information. We realize that people lead busy lives and we will strive to find ways to get information out to the citizens that work for them. We organized this forum because we saw a need in the community where citizens were starting to ask questions about the candidates running for the city commission this election cycle. We wanted to provide residents with a chance to get to know the candidates running in these races. We are not making any endorsements for any candidates and will promote them all equally. There are 3 district seats up for election in November, District 1, 2, and 3. District 2 has 3 candidates running for this seat. Therefore, District 2 will be on the ballot for the August 20th primary. The top 2 candidates with the most votes will advance to the November ballot along with the 2 other districts. Since the Northport City Commission race is nonpartisan, you do not have to be affiliated with any party to vote during the August primary, just a registered voter. And you do not have to live in District 2. We had that conversation with a lot of people when we rescheduled this. Anyone can vote for District 2. It's just that the commissioner that runs for District 2 has to live in that district. And a few housekeeping rules. Please remember, we're in a library, and to keep your voices low, please turn off and mute all your cell phones. Also, there will be no video recording of the forum or voice recording allowed. Please limit your applause to after all the candidates have been introduced and to the end of the forum. Please do not interrupt during the question and answer portion of the forum. We have a limited amount of time and would like to have a chance for all the candidates to provide an answer. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator for tonight, Mr. John Daxton. John is a former three-term Sarasota County Commissioner and currently Senior Vice President for Community Leadership with the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. For 27 years, John fought to preserve Orange Hammock Ranch, and he also championed efforts to add more conservation lands adjacent to Myakka River State Park, a protected area now over 110,000 acres in size. Mr. Daxton.
Thank you. So I'm going to repeat some of the things that Pam just said. But before I do this, it's an honor to be here this evening. I can remember in the early 1980s when Sarasota County pretty much dismissed Northport City Commission elections as inconsequential. They're not doing that anymore. Northport is now a powerhouse in Sarasota County elections, and the decisions that you make as citizens of Northport are going to make an impact on all of Sarasota County. So it's very serious, and I appreciate the serious nature that you're giving it by showing up here tonight. Now, second order of business. Now, I should know this. I've been coming to Northport since the late 60s, early 70s. And all I can think is that, well, I just wasn't thinking when I showed up here tonight with the jacket on. So,
Yeah.
Okay. And it's summer.
that's the end of that. So tonight's forum will focus on the Northport City Commission District 2 race, which is the only Northport City Commission race that will appear on the August 20th ballot, primary ballot, as it is the only race to have 3 qualified candidates. To qualify, a candidate must live in District 2, but all Northport City voters will be eligible to cast a vote in this nonpartisan race. If neither of the 2 of the 3 candidates receives more than 50% of the vote, that's 50% plus 1 vote, not 51% of the votes, the top 2 finishers will advance to the final race on November the 5th. Now, I'd like to introduce the candidates running for District 2, and if I can get you to either stand or raise your hand or otherwise acknowledge yourself when I call your name. First, we have former Northport City Commissioner Cheryl Cook. Cheryl, say hey to everybody. Former Northport City Commissioner Barbara Langdon. Barbara. Northport resident and local businessman of Sarasota County, Josh Smith. And so that we don't run into any confusion about titles or bias or anything like that, with the panelists' permission, I'm going to call you by your first names. Cool? Good. This evening's forum will be a question and answer format. I have 7 questions that have been compiled from submissions by Northport City residents. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question. That's 120 seconds or 1/30th of 1 hour each question. The same questions will be asked of all 3 candidates. All candidates are seated in alphabetical order by district. I will rotate the order in which each candidate will respond first to the question, and I will start with the candidate to my far right. So Cheryl, that would be you when the time comes. The candidates are requested to answer the questions that were asked. No time will be given for rebuttal. Candidates may discuss their opponent's policies, positions, but may not engage in personal attacks or remarks regarding their opponents or other candidates. Each candidate will be responding to the question from the podium. Unless unable to do so, I will bring the mic to them. The timing will start when the candidate receives the microphone or is at the podium. Our timers right here. They will hold up a yellow paddle, which will indicate there's 30 seconds remaining for the candidate's response. And then a red paddle will be raised to signal that your time is up. Candidates must stop talking when the red paddle is raised. If you don't, there's a trap door underneath where I'm seated. And there's a chute that leads to the parking lot, and you will juxtapose out there, and then there will be no readmittance into the Shannon Staub Library. So members of the audience, we also ask that the audience, as Pam mentioned before, please not applaud after the individual questions, but remain quiet until after the candidate finishes his or her closing remarks. And please turn off or silence your cell phone now. You will not be needing them during the program. The guidelines are required that no part of this program may be recorded. WKDW, Northport's little station with a big voice, is here to video and upload the event for all to watch and to share at a later date. Because the forum had to be rescheduled, which is a polite way of saying I was their second choice, not their first choice of being here, we invited the other Northport City Commission candidates to sit in the audience, and they will be available afterwards to speak to attendees about their position. Now I'd like to introduce the other candidates that I just referred to that are running for city commission. Demetrius Petro is here. I saw him earlier. Demetrius. Yeah. For District 1, Alice White had the previous commitment. She will not be able to be here. And District 3, David Duval, I saw you earlier. There's David in there. He's with us. His opponent, Andrew Sias, will be joining us later. He also had a prayer commitment for this evening. So please join me in showing our appreciation for these candidates who are participating in our forum, but more importantly, show your appreciation for them participating in this democratic republic process. Without them, we would not have one. So give them all a round of applause. All right, so let's get started with question one. And as I mentioned, Cheryl, I'm going to start with you to my far right. And then Barbara, you'll take the second first. You'll take the second question first. That's enough of that. You guys got the gig, right? All right, question number one. What qualities do you think make you an effective commissioner, and why are you the best candidate for this position? Cheryl?
I'm Cheryl Cook. I'm the best candidate because I have Florida in my DNA. I'm from Miami, 1958, and I know all about the uniqueness of Florida, how to protect Florida, and in particular, the city of Northport. So what makes me qualified, also I served 4 years previously.
Oh, my bad. See, didn't take me long to mess up, Cheryl. People in the back end. Oh, people, you may do whatever you want. Yeah, let's start over. Time reset.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Might have to hold it closer.
Bite the mic.
Yeah. Might have to hold it closer. It's very close.
I'm Cheryl Cook. Okay. I'm the best qualified for this position, or I'm qualified for this position because I'm from Miami, 1958. I have Florida in my DNA, in particular, the city of Northport, which very much is as Miami was when I was growing up. I understand the uniqueness of Florida. I understand what a small city, which we are very important in the city, in the county of Sarasota. I want to point out we're extremely important in the region because as we all see the flooding that's going on right now, the water in Florida flows down. So whatever problems we are presented with in Sarasota, we're passing down to our neighbors in Charlotte County. So we really need to keep an eye on our neighbors as they should be keeping an eye on us. So I'll continue.
Yeah, you got 1 minute.
Also, again, I served 4 years in office, and we brought in, it's now called West Villages, it's called Welland Park, but at the time it was called Mount Home. And it was very prestigious at the time. The owner of Mattamy Home enjoyed the policies and the budgets of my commission. So I can say that I have experience in bringing in a fantastic budget for the people. We kept costs down, but we paid the bills. And we had a system where we would pay, we saved that, for instance, let me give you an idea. Every fire department needs fire trucks. And instead of trying to pay $1.5 million, that's what it was at the time, we saved up for fire trucks. So when a fire truck became due, we had the money available instead of spending the money on other things that are not necessarily needed, but people might want. And so we had a much more of a balanced budget in times, I think.
Thanks, Cheryl.
They were just confused.
Hi, my name is Barbara Langdon. As everybody knows, our city is growing at an alarming rate. And that creates a lot of stresses and strains for all of us. And it's so important that we have balance in our decision-making. So what makes me a good commissioner? I'm well-educated and I have great professional experience. I'm the daughter of a Boston firefighter and I worked my way through school. I have a master's degree in city planning. I have an MBA. I work in high tech, in marketing and business development, and that's made me pretty good at identifying opportunities and things that can improve the quality of life here in Northport for all of our residents. So when I talk about quality of life, I do mean our parks and open space. That is a very important part of the quality of our life. But to me, it also means our families not having to decide whether to pay their rent or mortgage or feed their families. So I talk a lot about economic development, and what that means to me is two things. One, jobs. We need to bring good-paying jobs with career paths for our residents. 90% of the workers in this city leave the city and drive someplace else to work, and we really want to change that. I'm really excited that we have 4 hospitals coming to this city. This community struggled for decades to get a hospital here, and now we have 4. And I'm so excited about that because I see jobs, professional positions, and jobs available up and down the pay scale.
So Josh, why are you the best candidate for this position?
I do not have the best college degree to show at the table. I have never ran for city office at all. The reason that I feel that I'm the best is I'm one of you. I get up every morning, I go to work, I come home, I focus on what's been going on in the city. I try not to look at things in terms of who would be the best leader. I try to look in terms of things, who would be the best employee for you. I've been a manager at several businesses. I currently run my own, and my goal is to just be your employee. We need to start having people pay attention to what the citizens say, and that's what I'm here to do.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, the next question, and Barbara, we'll start with you on this one. The lack of infrastructure needed to ensure quality of life and economic development is problematic for the projected future growth of the city. Question, what should be the approach to funding and prioritizing these infrastructure projects?
I could certainly count on this group to come up with a very good question. In terms of priorities for infrastructure, I am very much committed to infrastructure. Top priority is keeping this community safe. We need to focus on our water structures, we need to focus on our roads and our bridges, and we need to focus on bringing water and sewer, particularly to those areas of the city that have the opportunity to attract commercial development and jobs. So historically, we have been a pay-as-you-go community. And that has had a couple of negative results. One is we have to save up before we can initiate an infrastructure project. And what tends to happen is over time, the cost of doing that work goes up. The other implication of that is everyone who lives in the city at that particular point in time foots the bill. And people who move here a month from now or a year from now kind of get a pass on all of that. So one of the ways I think is very important for the city moving forward is that we authorize the ability for the city to borrow money. We need to have guardrails on that. We have to have limits on that. But this city has missed out on low-interest loans, oftentimes no-interest loans available from the state. And if we were able to participate with that, we could do the work when it needs to be done, and do it and spread the payment of that out over time so that it's not just us in this room footing the bill. It's also people who move here a month from now, a year from now, and Josh, it's your month.
Watch out for that trap door.
One of the main ways we need to start is once we ask our citizens to fund a project, we actually start that project and build it. When I moved here, there was a sign I drove past for Price Boulevard. In the time I've been here, about 4.5 years, that sign's changed colors. I joked around with some buddies and they said, "You're gonna laugh, it's been several different colors." When we go to the citizens and ask for things, we need to make sure they're actually getting them. When we talk about funding a project, we need to make sure that that project stays important. I know when it came to the police station, we found a way to cut surtax for everything that we had wanted in order to build a police station. When we come to you guys, we need to stick with that plan. I also believe that we need to get the referendum passed for borrowing. Like Barbara said, there has to be the ability to do projects. There has to be the ability to be a real city. The answer is not save, 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 and that $10 million project's now a $30 million project. We have to make sure that we're looking forward, but we don't want the occasional thing that pops up that's shinier to throw us off. I made a public comment once that as you drive around this city, it looks like the cupboards are bad and the roof needs done, but somehow we're gonna put a new Beamer in the driveway. That's been my stance so far. When it comes to infrastructure, we need to make sure we're funding it and we need to actually do it in a timely fashion.
Again, Josh.
Yeah.
So Cheryl, infrastructure, quality of life, how do you fund it?
And I did request the question, because you tend to forget. One thing that we sometimes overlook are impact fees. Impact fees are supposed to pay for growth, and impact fees are usually paid by the developers. So the lack of infrastructure needs to pay for itself. Now, I can tell you that, and I do listen to what people are saying. For instance, water and sewer. There was a time when we had a project where neighborhoods would be told, and the majority of the neighbors in that neighborhood would decide to go on water and sewer, and the city would move forward with it. And one time, I can give you an example, the Madagascar project. And the neighbors in that area decided they wanted water and sewer, they wanted to pay the hookup fee, et cetera. And there was $1 million set aside for it. Well, guess what? Here comes a change, and the commission decided to divert the $1 million and put water and sewer in at War Mineral Springs. So sometimes projects, even though you are well-meaning, don't get done. And other projects take priority. So that's one of the problems that you have when you don't have let's say a very stated commission who's determined and who's committed to projects. And you have to also bring in the vendors, and you might call them the developers, but they are also part of the plan. We can't fund all of the infrastructure. It's not our job. It's the job of impact fees, for instance, and like we can see that funding came in from COVID, that money, instead of, that money went to, it should have been paid to the weirs. We were funding the weirs, we were repairing the weirs, these are the water structures. And then all of a sudden, the city quit paying for them. So now we have to look back and we had more weirs that, excuse me.
Thanks, Sharon. Yep. Josh, you're gonna, I think I got this right. The next question.
I'm first next.
Is it? Is that another? Thanks for keeping track. But I'm gonna take a little bit of the moderator's.
Oh, you go ahead.
You first. And I'm gonna introduce our current District 3 Northport City Commissioner, Debbie McDowell, in the back, who has joined us. So Debbie, thanks for being here. The continued population growth and development of our city will affect the quality of life of our citizens, including the environment and wildlife. Question, Josh, for you first. What do you believe we need to do to ensure the protection of our natural environment in Northport?
This is one of the primary reasons I decided to run. I'll start with the Toledo Blade 320 project. Citizens came out in droves and explained that that's an environmental area and it needs to be protected. I know for a fact that that is a horrible flooding. It's just terrible up there. Somehow we decided to allow the rezoning to put mixed use up there. One of the activity centers, I believe it's 3 up near the Sumter area. The city paid for somebody who came out and said that area needs to be left natural. That's the best option. There's an old lake bed there. There's a ton of wildlife out there. And commission just kind of said, well, is there other options that we can get as much as we can out of it? We absolutely have to protect the environmental areas. We are a very large city. There are a ton of land mass where you can put commercial and you can do things to grow for the future. The answer is not stuff it into old neighborhoods and stuff it on top of environmentally sensitive areas.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Josh. Go ahead and pass the mic. Yep. No, it goes back to, it goes here.
Round up.
You'll get your steps in
I
today.
can use it.
Okay, so the question is, what do you believe we need to do to ensure protection of our environment within Northport? I think we need to control growth. I think that it's not just the endangered animals or the wildlife corridors. I think we're losing the true nature and uniqueness of Florida with all of the overdevelopment. And, you know, just because it's a wonderful thing, people want to move to Florida. We're a wonderful state. And Northport is a fabulous city. But unfortunately, everybody that wants to move here can't. And we have to prioritize what we're going to be developing. I'm not sure how many people notice what's going on in Toledo Blade on the corner of Tennessee. I had never seen so much rapid development. And is it a good thing? Well, you have to pay your bills, but you also are required to protect wildlife and to protect our environment. That's part of economic development. That's why people move to Florida. We're the salt life. It's been excruciating watching the development going over habitats. So to me, that's what we can do is stop the overdevelopment.
Barbara, you're up next. What do you think, what do you believe needs to be done to ensure the protection of our natural environment in Northport?
Boy, growth does have a negative impact on the environment. And so it's really important that we do it the right way and in the right places. I totally agree that in our very sensitive areas that are prone to flood, we should be very careful, either not develop there or make sure that the development puts in place the controls so that the water does not flow off that property and impact the neighborhoods. This year, we funded a natural resources division that consolidates some of existing employees in the city, our arborists, for example, and also adds some environmental planners. And I'm really happy about that because we now have professionals who are reviewing every project. They're part of every development review process. And they will make recommendations in terms of how we best protect both our trees and our animals in those areas. It is a tough one. And we do have regulations in place. Every property before it's developed, whether it's a commercial development or a residential development, is inspected for gopher, tortoise, burrows, and we have to mitigate for that. We are trying to maintain trees. So we're very concerned about the loss of our tree canopy. When we do larger subdivisions and commercial properties, we have a way more control in terms of what they do in terms of landscaping and buffers. The real challenge are our quarter-acre lots.
Thank you, Barbara. Next question, I'm going to start with Cheryl. And just so y'all will know, Cheryl's having difficulty hearing me, so I'm giving her the questions in writing so that the playing field is equalized. So Cheryl, we'll start with you on question number 4. The city has a duty to protect the citizens' quality of life as it relates to development and property rights. Citizens are concerned about the influence of developers. What will you do as a commissioner to ensure the property rights of the citizens are protected in relation to the recent passage of the ULDC citywide rezoning effort?
Thank you. As everybody knows, the ELDC was my project. I brought it to the city in 2014. Myself and the city manager met with the mayor of Longboat Key as well as his city manager. We hired the University of Florida that would have totally rewritten or updated the ULDC, and it would have been done by April of 2017. We are now just having this package passed. I'm not sure who knows what's in it. I think it just passed. So the question is, citizens are concerned about the influence of developers. I don't take any developer money. I took 2 checks from friends, one of whom was my friend Victor, and that's it. So I'm not influenced by developers. What will I do as a commissioner to ensure the property rights of the citizens are protected in relation to the recent passage of the ULDC rezone? And I think what you're talking about is the industrialization, where all of the interior, I can't remember what they're called, but there's going to be massive zoning, meaning medium and high density in all neighborhoods. I don't know how that got passed. There are questions as to if it can be challenged, but we won't go there for now. I can only say that I was in office for 4 years. I protected the people's properties. We did not take, myself and most of the people on the board, we're not working for the developers. We protected Orange Hammock. We protected War Mineral Springs. We did not put Dallas White Park out to be developed. My past and my record is my promise to the people. So if anybody has any questions, you can email me at Cheryl Cook for Northport and ask me, what did you do in the past? And the past is now. They're now developing projects that we did not allow to be developed.
We need them to shut up back there, we can't hear.
Yeah, I'm going to request that there's talking in the back, so if we can refrain from discussion, that'll enable everyone to hear what the candidates have to say. That's what we're here for, right? Right.
One of my biggest surprises when I became a commissioner is how little discretion we have when we're making judgments about particularly commercial properties and land use items. Those are quasi judicial. We have a very formal process to go through, and every commissioner is required by law to evaluate all of those projects in terms of the Unified Land Development Code of the City of Northport and state statutes. So we are required to follow those laws when we pass those judgments on commercial properties. I know that the rezoning of the city, which was part of the ULDC that we passed last week, has created a lot of stress in the community. I get it. Our strategy was twofold. One was to expand our activity centers, many of which were already located in areas that were less developed than other areas of the city. The second part of that was to look at the city's boulevards. So those are the collector roads like Atwater. I live right off San Mateo. Those are boulevards, and all of those roads at some point in time will be expanded to be 4 and 5 lane roads. We're going to be 250,000 people. We're going to have to expand those roads. So those are the kinds of areas where commercial development should happen. As Josh mentioned, there are areas of the city where no development should happen. It has to be a balance. I was much better at timing that.
I understand that there are laws we have to follow as a commission, but I also understand that there is discretion underneath those laws. There is absolutely no reason every citizen was not informed that had their lots zoning changed. Don't clap. It shouldn't deserve a clap. It should have been what happened. We need to maintain our focus on the fact that it's citizens, then commission, then city staff. I am for the ULDC as long as citizens were informed properly, and those citizens who came forth and wanted to vest their rights. That's something I learned in a council meeting. Apparently it means even though you own it, you don't own it. They should have been given a time frame to vest their rights. There's a lot of people out there who are going to be shocked when they find out that they can't build on their lots anymore. I understand that the boulevards are boulevards and they need to be widened, but we should have taken a look at the ones that are existing neighborhoods. And we should have dropped the mixed use rating. I believe it's corridor something now. We should have dropped that in those known areas. There are areas out in our district called the roads to nowhere. We can plan for the future there. The answer is not slam apartment buildings on top of people who already live there. That's my stance on that.
Thank you, Josh. Question number 5, we're going to start with you, Barbara. Correct?
Yeah, oh,
Thank you.
I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay. I thought he was handing you the mic. I was like, oh. I thought we were rolling.
I think I messed up.
No, she's not.
Yeah, right. All right, so question number 5. Citizens and taxpayers comprise the top of the hierarchy in city government. Mistrust, negativity, anger, apprehension, and indifference are just some of the feelings expressed by residents who have observed that city commissioners consistently listen to staff over the citizens. The protocol of public comment in commission meetings does not allow for discussion or interaction. People feel like they are disregarded. The question, again, starting with you, Barbara, if elected, what will you do to restore the voice of the citizens?
Thank you. The city of Northport actually has the most liberal public comment policy of all the municipalities in the county. And I think that's really important. So I would not change that. We can talk at the beginning and end of the meeting and after each agenda topic. So I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure will. If elected, what will you do to restore the voice of citizens, referring to the lack of discussion and interaction between the citizens and the commissioners at the Northport City Commission meetings?
Thank you for that. We have a lot of opportunities as citizens to interact with commissioners and staff. As Cheryl mentioned, I'm always available to have coffee. I seek people out to have coffee, to talk with them. The city has regular meetings with the community where staff comes out and usually the commissioners are there as well. And it's a great opportunity to have those conversations that you're looking for and ask very specific questions as how you think things that we're doing impact you as a resident. The next one is taking place this week on Thursday night. I would encourage you, all of you, to go so you can have those conversations. It's taking place, it will start at 6 p.m. It's up in the Estates at the American Legion Post 254 on Tannytown Road. Please take advantage of those, because that is really your best opportunity with your fellow residents to have those conversations and ask your questions. We're responsible as commissioners to represent all of the folks who live here. And I don't know how your families operate, but boy, you've got 2 or 3 of us in a room and we never agree. So why we think the city would be any different? We really are required to do the best for the most.
Josh?
One of the main things, I've already spoke on it, is we need to get back to the fact that the commissioners are our employees. We see them as our leaders. We don't hold them to actually being at town hall on set days. Again, an outside group has to run a forum in order to get our commissioners out to where you can talk to them. There's no reason you're not tired of hearing from your commissioners. We had the ULDC. They should have been out at libraries. They should have been out holding events. They should have been hammering the streets, trying to convince us that that was the right thing to do. I do agree with Barbara that the 3 minutes, I go to a bunch of meetings, and anything more than 3 minutes, the meetings are already long. They'd be crazy long. And I don't think there's the right answer in that place and time to have a back and forth with city staff. It would become argumentative immediately. They believe they're doing the right job. You believe they're not. That's not the place for it. The place for it is, we need to have commissioners who come to public libraries like this and hold meetings, and you get to have that more often. I don't believe that we should have to track commissioners down. We should know, hey, Tuesdays and Thursdays, so-and-so's there. I know I can go talk to them. I know once a month we do a meet and greet. I know that there's a How Your Government Works class. I really feel that our commissioners should be far more available than they are. And right now, they're our leaders, not our employees mindset.
Thank you, Josh. Cheryl talked about the voice of the citizens and interaction between the citizens and the commission meetings. That's the next one. Save me the trip.
I can tell you that when I was in office, I had my own personal quality of life tour. And I worked with the city manager. I would go out and visit different neighborhoods twice a week and use my own gas and my own time. And I'd knock on doors. And I'd ask residents and citizens, okay, do you have any problems? And then I'd meet with the city manager every couple of weeks, and he would take down a list, and then he would direct staff if he thought it was appropriate. So it's not something that I'm foreign to. I can tell you though, when you're on the dais and you are presented, and I have a staff report here, I'm not gonna have time to talk about it, but you have to be very careful about following staff's directions. You've got to be reading all of the documents. And I will say, for instance, there was a project that was just approved. And this city basically gave away new boundaries because the developer wanted it to. And let me explain another thing. This is a project that a lot of people are complaining about. It's in the Estates. The neighborhood meeting right up the street, this project happened. The neighborhood meeting was at the library at Biscayne. So these are kind of things that, as a commissioner, you've got to read all the documents. And when you do, you can give citizens a better understanding of what city staff may not be doing right and what the reason you're not going to follow city staff. If you don't have time on the dais to explain all of these particulars, But you can contact different commissioners and everybody's got an email address. Personally, I want to make my emails public. I know that public records, anybody can go in and get the records if you have the ID number. I think that the commissioner's email address should be public. And I know that's something that people discussed in the past, but you can really run a lot by these emails. And actually, when I ran in 2020, that's how I figured out how the people, what people were concerned about it. Okay, I ran out of time again. I got
That's it, Joe. You got the next question, but we're going to start with Josh. It's a pretty simple, straightforward question. For the candidates, what is your vision for Warm Mineral Springs Park, including the entire 82 acres?
It was in the question. It's the entire 82 acres. That's where it starts. That needs to be maintained as a park. I call it the 2016 master plan because all the research I do shows that's when we started talking about it. It then became the 2019 master plan, which then became the, I think you're wrong, citizens, so we're going to create the P3. Somehow we won that battle. And then what's the next step? They've had several chances to change the P3 zoning when they did the ULDC back to park land. And the answer was, we want to wait until we can talk about it some more. The only answer for Warm Mineral Springs is the 2019 master plan and leaving it the entire 82 acres. I believe that's all the question.
That's it, man.
That's it.
Go.
All right, this is an easy one. As we all know, the public was against the purchase of Warm Mineral Springs property, the city of Northport citizens in 2010. In 2012, my very first meeting, I rejected the ITN, which was a massive development project that was approved by 10 commissioners, 5 in the county, 5 in the city, in July of 2012. Throughout the time until 2014, I battled with everybody, including public commenters, because I was determined to protect and preserve all of the property. The good news is, because of the battles, we were able to purchase the county portion of the property, so you own the entire property. I did speak with a environmental group. They are still willing to put on a conservation easement on the entire property. That means we can continue owning it, we can continue going out and utilizing it, but there can be no development ever. I also spoke with another individual who indicated that the county is in the process of attempting to purchase it through their land acquisition program. The problem is it would be open to everybody, and which it already is, but I'm not, somehow I got a negative connotation from that. The state can also take over the property. But the conservation easement really is the answer, and this is what I attempted to put forth, but I didn't get the support, mostly in 2014, and then the project, of course, was backburnered. So that is my very adamant response, is to keep the property for all of us who own it, and put a conservation easement on it. We have accredited companies that have a background in doing this kind of a project. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Robert?
Boy, Warm Mineral Springs, what a potential gem that is. Over the past year or so that we've been trying to figure out what to do with the springs, the commission has heard literally hours of public comment. And contrary to some public opinion, we do listen. And I've changed a lot of my attitude about what we should do there. I heard tens, if not hundreds of people say, all we want is access to the lake. We don't want anything fancy on that 23 acres that contains the lake. And I agree with them. We need to be careful when we talk about preservation, because preservation could mean putting a fence around the lake and not letting anyone in. And I don't think that would make anyone happy. So I do believe we need to protect the lake and the quality of the lake. And for me, the number one priority is putting water and sewer to that property. Can you believe we're on septic? It's just mind-blowing. So for me, that's priority number one. I still have a dream of creating an alternative or a holistic health destination on the area surrounding, the 60 acres surrounding. I've had an opportunity to walk that property. It is tragic, the condition it is in, and it will be a very expensive proposition to even clear that land, keeping in mind the environmental impact studies and all of that. So I still hope for botanical gardens there. I'd love a restaurant and other things that I'll talk to you about after. I don't want to lose my seat.
Well, at this point, there's only one question left. You only missed a little bit. So if you're going to do it, it's the thing to do it. So, final question, question number 7. Cheryl, we're going to start with you with this one. What do you think is the best option on how to fund and/or build a new Northport police station?
I understand there will be a special referendum, a special election that will cost us, I heard of $1,300,000 and another point of $100,000 to put on a special election for us to approve funding of the police station. I'm not quite sure, I don't know if the ordinance came out yet, but the last thing I heard of the special police meeting that I watched on the video was that there would be $33 million requested from the taxpayers. As far as I can see, this is somewhat of a preliminary question because we're going to have a change at some point. There's going to be a change in the commission for sure, at least one seat. So it will be up to, this is a tough question because let me say this first. I do not agree with the November referendum. One of the biggest ticket items is $1 billion for water and sewer. That needs to go to referendum. If the people approve that, then we can worry about funding it and bonding it and all of the other items that are in that November election. So I'm against the November referendum. The police station is how it will be funded. Again, I can't say. This is 8 months from now and things change. If the referendum does pass in November, then that would be the way to fund it. So sorry, it's just too preliminary to answer this question right now.
Thank you. Cheryl, Barbara?
Thank you, Cheryl. We are out of space in our police headquarters. We've been out of space in that area for a very long time. We need a new police headquarters, but how big it is and how much it's going to cost is an issue. The commission approved a $122 million project. In all honesty, we worked hard to figure out different sources of money and how could we raise the money to build that building. And we got to about 75 million. And part of that included selling some parkland. And I'll tell you, one of the real motivating factors for me when I ran was to make sure that this city could produce enough tax revenue from commercial development to offload it from our homeowners. And I was thinking, boy, I want to make sure that 10 or 15 years from now, that the city was never in a position of having to sell parkland, because that's all we have. We have some governmental land and we have parkland. And I did not want to see a day where this city had to sell a park to balance its budget or fund an essential project within the city. We're there today, folks, not 10 or 15 years from now, but we were able to find about $75 million I believe that we can build a smaller footprint, police headquarters, smaller than the $122 million. And I think we're close to be able to pay for that without borrowing any money.
Josh, police station. How do you fund it?
Luckily, the referendum has some protections in there, so we don't have to worry about them backdooring a police station. I'd like to get that out of the way right now. It is going to have to go out for referendum for the people to vote on. $122 million, I think everyone in the world coughed. Everybody I know who's a cop even said, "Eesh, that's a number I wish they didn't say out loud." I agree with Barbara. There's a number out there. It's not 122. I don't even think 100's the number. Unfortunately, when it comes to police, we all have a fear. And that fear is if we don't give them everything, crime will skyrocket. Okay? I believe there's an actual number out there that gets them what they need. It also gets us to not cough when we hear it. The key to funding it goes out for referendum and you guys get to choose. One spot that I would love to see our city do is improve on how they talk about this police station. In the meeting, they said, it'll be amazing because if we get the new police station, we can get them out of that building and then we can move the building department out and then we'll have more room so we don't have to build another building. And I was like, whoa. How come nobody's talked about this? Our city is the worst salespeople on the planet. They're terrible at it. I don't know how we come up with a scary number and go, now, because we said so, get rid of all of the surtax in order to pay for this thing. And that poor police commissioner sat there with his laptop open while we went, oh, we took that off the schedule. We're not going to talk about it now. So to end this, it's going to go to you folks to vote on. I hope it's a number that makes some sense. And our city needs to do a better job of selling us on how they're going to save us some money by us proving it.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to now move to the closing comments. The 2-minute rule still applies. The trap door is still activated. We're going to start with you. We start with Barbara, then we're going to move to Josh, and then we'll wrap it up with Cheryl. Cheryl, don't get excited. You're not going to get the last word in. We're going to give that to Pam. She's going to come back after you conclude with some closing comments. So, I already forgot what I said, right? Barbara, some closing comments. 2
Thanks,
minutes,
John.
please.
I'm really encouraged when I look around this room and I see all of the concerned citizens of this city coming out to learn more about all of us. I think it is an indication that we have a healthy, vibrant community. There is no way we're going to agree on everything we do. It's a virtual impossibility. And although I knew it when I was running the first time for commission, it didn't take me very many meetings to figure out that no matter what decision we make, we're going to make some people happy and other people not so much. That's the job. But I'm really encouraged by all of the people who came out tonight. It's healthy. Come out Thursday night, have more conversations with us. Chuck will tell you, I'm always ready to go to Panera's for a cup of coffee and talk with someone. I want to know what you're thinking. And Josh is right. We often don't do a really good job. I don't think it's our job to sell you, but I think it is our responsibility to articulate to you why we're doing what we're doing. You still might not agree, but at least you might say, well, I can see where they're coming from and they kind of thought through some alternatives. That's really important that we have those conversations and we stay open to it. So again, I just want to thank the organizers of this event tonight. Thank you, Pam, and all the folks that worked on this. And even more importantly, thank you to all of you who came out tonight with an open mind to get to know us a little bit.
Thank you, Barbara. And I forgot to mention that we refrain from applause But after the closing comments, you're free to raise.
No, that's what I'm putting her.
That was for Barbara. Yeah, no. All right, Josh, you're on your own now.
Okay. My closing comments are this. We have two commissioners sitting at this table, one former, one current. If you think that the job that they did while they were commissioner is what you want to see for this city, then there's no reason for me to talk much anymore. But if we understand that we need to make some changes, if we understand that we need to pay more attention to the citizens, and if we understand that our commissioners need to be more available, then by all means, spend a little time, get on my Facebook. I've got some videos. I'm always willing to talk with anybody who'd like to talk. And just thank you very much for coming out, and thank you very much for organizing this. It was awesome. I hope that we can continue to do these, even if it isn't us talking again. Hopefully the rest of the commission groups get to do it. The more we get out, the more citizens hear from us, the better it is for everybody. Thank you.
It's good to be back after all these years away. First of all, I really want to thank Mr. Smith for getting involved. It's wonderful to see young people who are articulate, who have a stake in the game. It's just, I can't say enough, and I congratulated him before, so thank you. In my closing statement, I just want to say that it has been, supposed to be positive, and everybody's saying be upbeat, but it has been heartbreaking to see my city being overdeveloped. And I think that had people read some of these, you have to read all of the backup documents. When you read some of the documents, and you just see some of the giveaways that are happening in this city to developers that don't need to happen. So on the upbeat note, I intend to come back into office and continue being a good steward. Now, when you hear somebody saying, let me complete the job I did, that should put up a red flag, because there is no job. There is a continuation. There's a tradition. We're here to protect the citizens, and we're here to protect the land and the wildlife, and we're here to pay the bills. But there is no any one job for any other person. So it should be something that the people can speak to the commissioners, and I guess I'm a little bit overwhelmed because of all of the people that have turned up to listen today. Oh, I have a yellow flag. Thank you for showing up. Please remember that all development doesn't have to happen. It's a good thing because it pays the bills, but let's control growth. Thank you.
And you don't know how to talk. I am not going to be up there for that long. I'd like to thank Mr. Thaxton for filling in until I want to thank you to Cheryl, Barbara, and Josh for showing up. And I have to apologize, it's Josh Smith, not Josh Smith Jr. Apparently, someone in the newspaper did that one, and I picked up. I also want to thank John Rawlings for live streaming this. And then I have Daniel Fitton and Earl Kimball in the back that covered from the Sun and the Tribune. And the other candidates, and I apologize, I had no control over the rain to do that. And I also have Airpley Mix and Mingle, and because this was a candidate form for Northport City Commission only, there are two candidates in the office, or the area. They have Jim Kohler, who's running for Charter Review in Sarasota County. And Michelle Posey and Michelle, what district are you running for?
State House 74.
Okay, thank you. Connie didn't show up, did she? No, okay. All right, and then, I might not have been the brightest student in the bunch, but I did remember my high school, teacher when he said, if you're gonna vote in an election, vote in the primary, because the primary is where you pick your representatives that are going to be going to November. So that's why it's always, and voting for me has always been important, and I try to vote in every election. So, and also, I just wanted to mention too, there's another group, the Northport Forward, and Carmine is here. Carmine, raise your hand. Carmine is part of Northport Forward, and Northport Forward does put on those, oh, I don't know who she is. No. Okay, all right, she's the Northport Forward. Northport Forward will put on the, Northport United Tours, and those United Tours, they sponsor them and they bring the city staff out to the citizens, so the citizens can ask the city staff direct questions directly. And that's what's going on at the VFW on Tankytown up at the Estates on Thursday, August the 15th. Registration's still open, Carmen? Okay, registration, and they have their Facebook page. There's a link on the Facebook page for that. And with that being said, how do we do for our first time out? So, we've got candidates here, you can talk to them, and we just need to be out exactly before 8 o'clock because they take us out. All right. Thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate you all showing up. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.